In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the pre-orders for Commander Masters on TCGPlayer, which notoriously is not the best place to look for prices, but still continues to do a lot of sales, and so as a result, I thought it might be good to at least take a look at where things are going to sort of set the stage as Commander Masters gets ever closer to its release. Let's jump into the video. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the video. If you didn't know, I've launched a channel membership called Loveshack Lounge. For $5 per month, you can join and get immediate access to exclusive badges, emotes, and the ability to vote on topics for future videos, as well as early access to certain videos and exclusive deck profile videos posted monthly. Plus, monthly product giveaways, and for the month of August, anyone who joins the channel, even if you cancel your membership later, will receive a free Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster pack, all of which will be open live on stream at the end of the month. To join, click the join button that'll appear on mobile or on desktop platforms, and I hope to see you there. Alright, so Commander Masters has fully been spoiled, and that means that pre-sales are being listed all over the place. There's a lot of, buying, selling going on. The Commander deck sold out really fast on Amazon, at least for the Eldrazi ones. I believe the other ones might still be up there. People are basically, there's a mad dash to list and make sales, but then it's like, well, how do you avoid listing things too high, too low? And the thing about TCGPlayer is that TCGPlayer's system is such that only a limited number of sellers can actually list pre-orders on there. So as a result, there's not much competition, and as a result, you see stuff really starting to sell, at higher rates. So, just to give one example, you see the Selvala Heart of the Wilds foil etched. Right now, the pre-sales for it are around $37. However, there's been at least one sold listing of $148.25 and another of $175 back in May. But, this is crazy compared to where it was. So the thing is that a lot of these sellers end up putting up what are, placeholder prices, or maybe just, throwing it out there on a whim, hoping someone might bite. And, in this case, someone did. Whether or not, they'll ask for that refund or what, was going on. But you can see just the difference in price from where people were listing it to, what it is now as we've seen the whole set. Now, foil etched is an interesting topic because obviously the foil etched cards are only available in the collector boosters, meaning there's one per booster, meaning there's 4 per box. There's not exactly the largest supply of them, and for some cards that don't have foil printings before this, or have very limited foil printings before this, like Extraplanar Lens, you're seeing a really high price point on these, around $150, and that's actually kind of what they're listing it at. You have one sold listing, but the point is that TCGPlayer right now it's not a great place to shop for pre-orders, really, until the week before. But even then, when the set drops, if you look at, TCGPlayer, 2 days before the set officially releases, and then after, you'll see just massive drops across the board because people can start to list more stuff. And so, if you've ever wondered why TCGPlayer's pricing is so high versus, other places and whatnot, that's kind of the reason. Now, talking a bit more about some of the specific cards, I'm going to avoid touching the textured foils for right now because we don't really know what the ratios for that's going to look like. If they're anything like the Double Masters 22 textured foils, I think they'll probably be about 1 per, case. And obviously, there's a small handful of them. I think Jeweled Lotus will obviously be really pricey, and I can't wait to see what these actually look like in person. But we're going to have to, kind of wait and see until people get a chance to open more of the product. But aside from the textured foils, right now, Jeweled Lotus Borderless is the highest priced card in the set. That is no surprise. The artwork on the card itself is beyond gorgeous. So that, again, just looking at it and how nice it is one indication of, a high value card. Now, the pre-sale prices are this is selling pretty consistently at around $115. I don't think that's super far-fetched either. I think that's probably going to be where it settles, around $100. But you're also seeing foil copies sell around $300. And if we look at the Jeweled Lotus from Commander Legends, which is now almost 3.5 years old-ish. But if we look at the Jeweled Lotus from that set, the extended art, because of how scarce it was, this was is currently $400, $500. It was at one point $800 to $1,000. I think the announcement of a reprint has, sort of shifted it down because now it's not the only premium version, but this is still a pretty expensive card. And you'll see, yeah, it was as high as $800 at one point. I expect this card to do really well price-wise. I think all of the Jeweled Lotuses will do well over time. It is my hope that the regular one actually drops a bit more, quite a bit more than what we're seeing right now. My target range is $40 to $45. That's kind of where I'd like to pick it up, which I think would be a good price for it. But I guess, again, there's a lot of wait and see. But comparatively, it was already almost 100 before the announcement of reprint, so it's still a good drop. It's just not really where you want to see it. I don't see any scenario in which these commanders, these Sliver Gravemother and Zuladoc, there's no way these stay around like $70 each. I mean, you can buy the Sliver deck right now for 82 on Amazon pre-order, so there's no way this card is going to command $70 because at that point, then the decks just become essentially pure profit. So there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, on these prices as we get closer. There's just, I mean, I know with the Eldrazi one selling as high as it is, there's a possibility Zuladoc holds on to a little bit of value, but I don't think this guy's worth that. I just think he's not going to be that hard to get. And, you know, the deck itself is worth, you know, a quote-unquote retail anyway, like 85. I just think that's kind of crazy. I mean, even these thick stock one selling for $33, I mean, that would imply that you could get $100 just for the 2 copies of Slipper Gravemother, one of which isn't even legally playable, and that would mean that you'd be just making pure profit on the deck. So things that seem too good to be true, you know, keep that in mind. I don't think these are going to be anywhere near that price. I mean, a highly desired commander could very well stay like 40, $50. I'm not disputing that, but I don't think it's going to be that high. Demonic Tutor is another really, really good one that I think it's amazing artwork. I think it's really cool in general. Where exactly that's going to end up, it's hard to say. The foil around 100-ish and the regular around 60. I'd like to think this could drop a bit more. There's a lot of different variations of Demonic Tutor, but just given the art and the card, it wouldn't shock me to see it stay kind of close to that range too. Just looking at the page, like high to low foil edge Demonic Tutor, it'll probably be a little lower than that at the end of the day. I'm really hoping the Tutor itself will end up dropping down to like, I don't know, 25, like for the regular copy. I don't think that's like extravagant. But again, it's too soon to tell. Capture of Jing Zhao, you know, it's $350 card down to 52. Can't really complain too much about that. I think this will go down lower than it is currently, and so you just kind of see like where pre-orders are. Abyssin at 43 on pre-order. I think it's going to drop more than that. I think this card is good, but I don't think it's going to necessarily stay as high as it was before this reprint announcement, especially as more flood the market. I mean, there's 13 listings right now, so what's it going to look like when there's, you know, 80 listings and people are vying to, you know, drive the price down? Same with Ur Dragon. I mean, he's definitely another really good card and a popular commander that doesn't exactly have the most widespread access, but there's a couple different versions of him in this set alone, and I think he will end up coming down a bit. Hard to say on Great Henge. I think it's going to drop more. It's just dropped more with every reprint so far. But how far? I don't know. I wouldn't be buying this yet at 40. I would wait a little bit because at this point, I mean, if you want my honest opinion, what I'm personally planning on doing is not really buying any of this stuff until the set actually drops. And I'm going to be ordering a lot of stuff, and I'll probably make a video about it, talking about what I'm buying and why when that time comes. But right now, I would wait. I've just seen it happen, you know, time and time again. Where these prices drop down a lot. Finale of Devastation, I think, is a good one. I actually think this will probably stay relatively close to this price point, around 35 to 40. So I'm kind of surprised to see it that low, but it does look like the foil's going much higher, around 100. This is just a really good card, and it was like 40 before the reprint. So for an amazing artwork, you could do worse. But we'll see where it ends up dropping. Again, the commander for the enchantment deck, you know, $40. There's no way. There's no way this stays that high. You know, I would not pay this amount for it. Again, you could buy the deck right now for 85. So if you're telling me that the face commander of the deck is worth over half the price of the deck, I mean, that does not seem to be like a reasonable price at all, especially when the extended art is literally cheaper. Like, you know, you can see that down here. Grave Pact, Borderless, might stay up. I mean, I'm looking mostly at Mythic stuff here, but I think it's going to stay pretty high. Smothering Tithe, another really good card and a good reprint, but it is a Mythic, so how much will it drop? You know, maybe they're trying to balance the price out. I think Neheb is another good card, but he'll probably drop some more. You know, these prices were even higher earlier in the week, so it's nice to see them coming back to reality to some extent. Ulamog at 30, like, he's going to drop a bit more. The serial version of him was like 30, 35. He'll probably hit 20. Demonic Tutor at 28 isn't bad. Like, that makes me feel optimistic that you might actually have a genuine chance to get this at like $20. But again, with it being pre-order and with it being Mythic still, it's hard to say. Guff, definitely overpriced. Craterhoof is another card I need, and I'm just waiting on the opportunity to grab him. But at 27 pre-order on TCG of all things, I think he'll end up actually being a pretty significant drop. So Land Tax, another one, 25, but probably wait. Right? Like, I think for the most part, waiting on a lot of this stuff is going to be the way to go. But, you know, just kind of looking at the different options. All the different borderless profile arts, I mean, unless they're, like, specialty, I don't think they're going to command any kind of high premium. They'll probably be right around the price of the regular cards. So, you just kind of watch these and see. I don't expect any of these to be like crazy value. Balefire might end up going up over time, but $20, I'd be surprised if he was... I mean, I don't know, it's hard to say, because he's got that sick alternate art, but I don't know, what does he end up at, 15? Not a terrible price. Extra Planar Lens, a really good card with only a few reprints. But again, it's pre-selling at 20, which leads me to believe that the market's going to end up going down. It's just a matter of supply and demand, really. Looking at some of the other stuff here as we get into like the $15 mark, more Funnel Drop, Smothering Tithe. This is the one I'm a little bit questionable about, just because it's mythic. I don't know how many are going to be hitting the market, but Neheb, another really solid, I wanted to grab this card. I was just waiting because he was like 30. Now he's down to 15 pre-order. That tells me he's going to be probably about 7 to 10 when all is said and done. One of the things we see a lot with Magic is that stuff will come out and it'll drop and then it'll go back up later. And that's going to be your time to swoop in and grab it when it bottoms out, because some cards that are commonly played that are staples will just rise over and over again regardless. And from there with the Mythics, you really just get into low price. Some of the stuff from the Commander decks, Kozilek, $7, not bad, but the regular Kozilek's like $7 from Gatewatch. All His Dust, $6 card, not bad, good card, but this stuff, just if it's at this low of a price now, it's reasonable to believe that it's going to end up being lower. You've got, Mirari's Wake at $4, good card, and might drop more. Even some of the foil etch stuff, like they're having them in sales yet. People aren't really biting on it because we don't even know what they're going to look like. And obviously, you see people trying to make sales at like $220, and then you got guys down at like $55. So people are going to keep undercutting as more stores are able to list, which, isn't that far off. It's a couple weeks. And we'll see more of these come up. But I think as a whole, the set's rounding out nicely. You'll see the random foil etch stuff end up holding a pretty good value. Double Masters did that as well for a lot of it, especially stuff that didn't have a lot of other foil variants. Imperial Seal, I think, is like the top price card in the set for its foil etch. Doubling Season probably won't drop too much from where it's at. Just looking at it. And then, the rest of these don't even really have a market price yet because nothing is sold. But textured foil Urza, they're saying $250. And not every textured foil is going to be expensive, but if you really look at the pricing of Double Masters 22 and how much the textured stuff dropped, even where it is now versus like the hype it had early on, it's pretty easy to see kind of what's going on with that, with the pre-orders. So prices are all over the place here, but I think for the most part, a lot of them are very high just because of the lack of competition. So I wouldn't be in a rush to be buying pre-order stuff unless it's like on other sites. In tomorrow's video, we're going to take a look at Card Kingdom's pricing and see what they have up for pre-order, because usually they're pretty solid. So we'll do a comparison to this one. So this is really like a part 1 of 2. But I wanted to at least take a look at it. So let me know what you guys think of TCGPlayer's pre-orders just as a whole. I mean, I really only touched on some of the mythic stuff, but obviously there's a lot of rares too. Some of them are commanding a pretty solid value, but we're going to see a lot of them hitting the market. And so it's just going to be a waiting game. And it's just interesting to see like TCGPlayer's exceptionally high pre-sale prices due to their flawed system, but you can even compare like what things have sold at versus what they're listed at now to get a sense of where they are. So that's going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. What are you planning on pre-ordering, and what are you kind of waiting on? Have you bought anything on TCGPlayer yet, and is there like a reason for the rush? Just curious to hear your guys' thoughts, and as always, I really appreciate you all watching the video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.